This is Gregory Mikell, your host and moderator for Being Social, the weekly live on-air broadcast, not limited to radio waves, but accessible to millions of users around the globe via the internet or phone, where all that you need is a voice, a concern, and a longing to be heard for social causes. Join us this evening, July 21st at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time here in the States for Episode 8 of Being Social, as we explore the topic of U.S. veterans are home, now what? As we've recently celebrated Independence Day, we take a look at the life that U.S. troops return home to after combat service. We'll explore, are servicemen's needs being met? Are their labor skills transferable to the current job market? Do they receive adequate medical treatment for injuries sustained during service? Are their families' needs being met while they are serving? Is the U.S. government fulfilling its obligations to our troops? If these and other topics are important to you, do join us on air by phoning in now at 562-645-3551 or joining our Google Hangout during the Sunday show, where I'll be standing by to engage with you on air. Join our Google Hangout again and share your input with forum participants tonight and for future broadcasts by searching for Podcast Being Social. To RSVP, go to eventbrite.com. We'll start this evening's broadcast by taking a look at what the U.S. government and other organizations are currently doing for returning soldiers and their families. The reason that I chose tonight's topic is because I have family members that have served in various arms of the services, and I know the sacrifices that they've made. The Iraq War. In late February 2009, newly elected U.S. President Barack Obama announced an 18-month withdrawal window for combat forces, with approximately 50,000 troops remaining in the country to advise and train Iraqi security forces and to provide intelligence and surveillance. UK forces ended combat operations on the 30th of April 2009. The U.S. completed its withdrawal of military personnel in December of 2011. However, the Iraqi insurgents had caused thousands of fatalities by 2012. Here's what the U.S. government is currently doing for returning vets. We'll take a look at the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, the new GI Bill, Post 9/11 Veterans Education Assistance Act of 2008, the American Recovery Act and Reinvestment Act of 2009, or stimulus package, the American Legion, and the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States. The United States Department of Veterans Affairs is a government-run military veteran benefit system with cabinet-level status. It is the United States government's second largest department after the Department of Defense. With a total 2009 budget of about $87.6 billion, the VA employs nearly 280,000 people at hundreds of Veterans Affairs medical facilities, clinics, and benefits offices, and is responsible for administering programs of veterans benefits for veterans, their families, and survivors. Now, the Department of Veterans Affairs is headed by the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, appointed by the President with the advice and consent of the Senate. The current Secretary of Veterans Affairs is retired U.S. Army General Eric Shinseki. The primary function of the VA is to support veterans in their time after service by providing certain benefits and supports. Now, Eric Ken Shinseki is a retired U.S. States Army four-star general who has served as the 7th United States Secretary of Veterans Affairs since 2009. His final U.S. Army post was as the 34th Chief of Staff of the Army from 1999 until 2003. He is a veteran of combat in the Vietnam War. A current initiative in the Department of Veterans Affairs is to prevent end veterans homelessness, with the VA working with the United States Interagency Council on Homelessness to address these issues. The Secretary Shinseki sits on the council and is committed to the goal of ending veterans homelessness by 2015, as laid out in Opening Doors, a federal strategic plan to prevent and end homelessness, which was released in 2010. Now, the Post 9/11 Veterans Educational Assistance Act of 2008 was amended for Part 3 of the Title 38 U.S. Code to include a new Chapter 33, which expands the educational benefits for military veterans who have served since September 11, 2001. President George W. Bush signed H.R. 2642 into law on June 30, 2008. The law is an effort to pay for veterans' college expenses to a similar extent that the original GI Bill did after World War I. The main provisions of the Act includes funding 100% of public four-year undergraduate education to a veteran who has served 3 years on active duty since September 11, 2001. Now, the Act also provides the ability for the veteran to transfer benefits to a spouse or children after serving or agreeing to serve 10 years. The original post-9/11 GI Bill provisions went into effect on August 1st of 2009. The controversy of the new GI Bill. Although the bill is widely considered an important piece of legislation, some flaws in the new GI Bill have been noted, specifically the fact that service members who participated in the $600 buy-up option will no longer be compensated. Now, the buy-up option allows active duty members to contribute up to $600 more toward their MGIB. For every dollar the service member contributes, the federal government contributes $8. Those who can contribute the maximum of $600 will receive $5,400 in additional funds, but not until after leaving active duty. The additional contribution must be made while still on active duty. There is no provision for how buy-up contributions will be handled under the new GI Bill, and the VA has stated that service members electing Chapter 33 benefits will not be able to collect the additional payment, and no refund will be posted for the original $600. Now, although the original bill did not include National Guard state activation, effective October 1st of 2011, the law was expanded to include active service performed by National Guard members under Title 32 U.S.C. for the purpose of organizing, administering, recruiting, and instructing or training the National Guard, or under Section 502F for the purpose of responding to a national emergency. The 2009 Recovery Act, or stimulus package, was signed into law by President Obama on February 17th of 2009 in an effort to jumpstart our economy, create or save millions of jobs, and put a down payment on addressing long-neglected challenges so our country can thrive in the 21st century. The Act is a response that includes measures to modernize our nation's infrastructure, enhance energy independence, expand educational opportunities, preserve and improve affordable health care, as well as provide tax relief and protect those in greatest need, as well as provide the Department of Veterans Affairs funding of $1,408,200,000 to improve its medical facilities and national cemeteries, as well as provide grants to assist states in acquiring or constructing state nursing homes and domiciliary offices, as well as remodel, modify, or alter existing facilities in order to furnish care to veterans, to hire and train temporary claims processors, as well as pursue needed information technology systems initiatives to administer one-time payments of $250 to eligible vets and their survivors or dependents. The American Legion, now, whose motto is "For God and Country," is a social and mutual aid veterans organization including members of the United States Armed Forces. The organization was founded in 1919 by veterans returning from Europe after World War I and was later chartered as an official American Patriotic Society under Title 36 of the U.S. Code. The organization is headquartered in Indianapolis, Indiana, and also has offices in Washington, D.C. The group has nearly 3 million members and over 14,000 posts worldwide. In addition to organizing commemorative events and volunteer veteran support activities, the American Legion is also active in issue-oriented U.S. politics. Its primary political activity and service members include support for veteran benefits such as pension and the Veterans Affairs hospital system. Membership eligibility requirements is limited to those honorably discharged veterans and current personnel of the United States Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, or Air Force who served at least 1 day of active duty during any of the wars from World War I to Iraqi freedom through to present day. Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States. The organization was formed in 1899 with headquarters in Kansas City, Missouri, with a membership of 2 million and over 7,400 posts covering all 50 states. The VFW currently has 1.5 million members and is a congressionally chartered war veterans organization. Its mission is to work on behalf of American veterans by lobbying Congress for better veterans' health care and benefits. The VFW also maintains a nationwide organization of employees and volunteers to assist veterans with their VA disability claims, in addition to donating much money and lots of hours for work for the city. One of their most popular programs provides free phone calls to overseas active military members. The current commander of the VFW is John E. Hamilton. The National Military and National Veterans Service Programs, or NMS, promotes positive awareness of the VFW through community involvement, communication tools, and financial support to qualified military service members. With the variety of support offered. 3 separate programs were developed under the VFW National Military Service Department. These programs are the Operation Uplink, Military Assistance Program, and Unmet Needs. We'll start by taking a look at the Operation Uplink. VFW started Operation Uplink in 1996 to connect deployed and hospitalized service members with their families through free phone calls. In 2004, VFW began providing free calls days twice a month to service members deployed abroad. Since then, free call days have provided service members with more than 4 million free phone calls home. Military Assistance Program, or MAP, is the VFW's most direct connection between military units and posts at the local level. In the last 5 years, MAP has helped host more than 1 million service members and their families. The Adopt a Unit program also falls under MAP and connects military units around the world with a local post that can offer resources and support. Unmet Needs. VFW's Unmet Needs was created in 2004 through a corporate partnership to assist military service members and their families who run into unexpected financial difficulties as a result of deployment or other hardships directly related to military service. Unmet Needs assist with basic life needs such as mortgage and rent and auto repairs, insurance, utilities, food, and clothing. Now, Unmet Needs helps unanticipated financial demands on service members' families that cannot be remedied through existing means and provides service members with the comfort of knowing that their families have additional support while stateside. The financial assistance is in the form of up to $2,500 in grants that do not need to be repaid. All grants are paid directly to the creditor, such as an electric company, and not to the individual. Each case is reviewed individually and acceptance determined by a committee. The membership eligibility. Members must be a U.S. citizen or national with an honorable discharge from the U.S. military or currently serving in the United States Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, or Coast Guard. Membership also requires military service overseas during an operation or conflict and decoration with an Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, a campaign medal or ribbon, a leave and earning statement showing receipt of hostile fire and imminent danger pay, also acceptable proof for membership eligibility. Now, let's take a look at some of the challenges and unmet needs that our troops are facing now that they're home. Giving veterans a home to return to. As I stated earlier, the VA is committed to a campaign of ending veterans' homelessness by 2015. Yet according to a count made last year by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, a staggering 62,619 U.S. veterans are homeless as they return from duty, seeking to make the transition to civilian life amidst a struggling economy that much more difficult. Veteran suicides. The VA reports that U.S. veterans are committing suicide at a rate of an average of 22 each day. However, a new report finds that the number of veterans who commit suicide each day is about 20% higher than the Department of VA has previously estimated. But the problem doesn't appear to be getting worse for veterans compared to the rest of the country. The overall percentage of suicides by veterans has declined over the years. VA researchers say the trend suggests that efforts to reduce suicide among veterans may be having an effect. Although about 22 veterans committed suicide each day in 2010, previous estimates from the VA put the number at 18. While much attention has been paid to suicide by veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan, the report indicates that problem is worse among older veterans. Most veterans who commit suicide are over the age of 50. Iraq-Afghanistan war veterans struggle with combat trauma. 2.4 million Americans who fought in Iraq or Afghanistan, many of whom are coming back profoundly changed by what combat veterans describe as the soul-battering experience of war, is forcing mental health practitioners to a new recognition that the effects of combat trauma extend far beyond the traditional and narrow clinical diagnosis of PTSD and traumatic brain injury, or TBI. The current veterans are at risk of downward spiral that leads to depression, substance abuse, and sometimes suicide, as Eric Shinseki, Secretary of the VA, stated recently. Almost 250,000 Iraq or Afghanistan vets have been diagnosed with mental health injuries from combat service. Many more are not diagnosed, yet go on with their lives while experiencing short-term memory loss, headaches, insomnia, anger, or numbness, conditions that can range from merely annoying to highly disruptive on the job and within their family life. Those who go to war, it turns out, carry the traumatic after effects longer and deeper than previously recognized, perhaps for a lifetime. At the Army Medical Center at Fort Gordon, Georgia, Dr. John L. Rigg, director of the Traumatic Brain Injury Program, is treating active duty soldiers complaining of headaches, mood swings, anger, insomnia, and memory loss as many as 5 years after they've experienced concussive blast in combat. No one gets out unscathed, says Colonel Catherine Platoni, a senior Army combat trauma psychologist with 2 battlefield tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, who has seen and felt the deepening effects of combat trauma. Combat trauma wounds are largely invisible, but the numbers are staggering. Roughly 2,413,000 young Americans have served in the Iraq or Afghan war. Now, more than 600,000 of them may be struggling with PTSD and major depression. The VA has formally diagnosed 207,161 Iraq and Afghan war veterans with PTSD, but experts believe many more are affected because of shortcomings and defects in screenings and diagnosis. A recent study by the RAND Corporation, a Pentagon-funded think tank, suggested how many undiagnosed veterans there might be. It estimated that some 14%, or about 337,820, of post-9/11 veterans suffer from headaches, sleeplessness, irritability, depression, rage, and other symptoms of PTSD, whether or not they are formally diagnosed or not. An additional 14% suffer from major depression. The VA's National Center for PTSD confirmed that the numbers are accurate. In addition, some 40,000 veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan have been diagnosed with traumatic brain injury they received in combat. The condition involves a bruising of the brain caused by concussion or other head injury, according to the Defense and Veteran Brain Injury Center. Many more veterans may be suffering without diagnosis or treatment, experts say. If these and other topics are important to you, do join us now on air by phoning in at 562-645-3551 or join our Google Hangout, where I'm standing by to engage with you on air. Join our Google Hangout here or next week to share your input with friends by forwarding this recorded broadcast later in the week. Do join us each week with Google Hangout or phone by RSVPing at eventbrite.com, where you'll see this broadcast and the remaining season's programming, of which you're sure to find something of interest. And if not, and you have a topic of concern, don't hesitate to email us at admin@acclaimedtheatricals.com. If you have suggestions of a topic that is not listed in this season's programming, perhaps we will air your program in Season 2. And if you missed last week's episode 1.7, The U.S.'s Role in Foreign Policy Now, you can listen or watch by going to acclaimedtheatricals.com or GregoryMikell.com, as well as YouTube and Vimeo, where they're hosted for free. I'll keep the line open as we have 3 guests that are expected to phone in who would like to give input or may have questions. This program is distributed by Acclaimed Theatricals, LLC, broadcast from Manhattan absolutely free. It's without fees that we can be sure to provide our forum participants with an unbiased platform, and they are given one less reason not to take an active role as a concerned citizen. While visiting our feeds, feel free to sign up for the company monthly newsletter, where you'll be provided with the full season's programming of topics among which you're welcome to participate. Join us next Sunday, July 28th at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time for episode 1.9, The Value of Arts in America. There are free tickets available on eventbrite.com. This is Gregory Mikell, your host and moderator. We'll see you Sunday.